Season 2 of Carrie and Mr. Big's relationship. First of all, this one is a long one, okay? It is 18 episodes, so no way I'm doing that in one video because even the previous video, what you saw was 1 hour. Do you know how much I had actually said? It was 3 hours worth of content. This being a bigger season, I need to cut it down. I need to make sure you manage your expectations. How many of you know that reference? Yeah. The two of us, we have a problem. Now, we ended the season 1 with Carrie breaking up with Mr. Big because he couldn't tell her that she was the one. Carrie is going through it. She is going through the heartbreak. We both know how that is. It feels like shit. You haven't moved from your bed for the last week. You're eating chips and chocolate. You're watching Korean dramas. This kind of feels very subjective. Don't even judge me, okay? Okay. The worst part is when you actually need to go out. When you need to go out and there is a chance that you will run into your ex and he will probably look all on point. And that's exactly what happens to Carrie. She's walking down the street, she's looking like shit, and boom, she spots Big across, on the other side, looking his perfect self. Of course, he's perfect. He is, hallelujah, right? She freaks out a little bit. But don't worry, she is hallucinating. I think she was eating something more than just junk food. But the feeling she actually has is being unsafe. The city she always loved, the places she always liked to go, suddenly became horror. What if I meet him there? And she was more and more keeping herself in her apartment. It was almost scary to go out because if she goes out, there is a possibility that she needs to face him when she's feeling like shit. But luckily, she has her good friends by her side. And they basically force her to go out, to get some fresh air. Now, what we get is not only fresh air, but we also realize that Mr. Big and Carrie apparently went out for a year. Let that sink in. A year. So you are telling me that after a year, you are still not sure about someone and I should keep going? You are telling me that after a year, you see me as another girlfriend that you're not willing to introduce to your family? A year. I might be a little bit crazy here, but when you're 30 plus, like over 30, I think things go a little bit faster. It's not like I'm 20 years old and I need to hide my relationship because I shouldn't. Okay? If you're dating someone for a year and you're 30-something, I would expect some more commitment there. But maybe that's just me. Carrie's friends understand that she's being a little bit under the weather. Okay, that's not the right expression because when you're going through it, you're going through it. But they're also, kind of making her acknowledge that she is giving too much power to him. Shocking. She's giving him too much power? Yes, she is. We saw that through the whole first season. That's the whole problem in this relationship. So what happens? They go out to a Yankees game, right? Carrie doesn't care about the game, but Miranda is a fan. She knows everything. Carrie and the others are just to have fun and to get drunk, mainly. Now, the ball is thrown like a foul ball, huh? And that kind of spirals into Carrie meeting this Yankee guy, asking for his signature, and she even asks him to go out for a date. She wants to put herself out there, let's be crazy, and the alcohol is helping. This is just my personal, I need to comment on this. What kind of friend are you? If your friend is obsessed with this team, she is head over heels a fan of this guy, this Yankee guy, and you still keep the ball and you're the one who, goes ask him on a date and things like that, I would most definitely, even if I caught a ball, I would immediately give it to my friend because I don't give a shit, okay? So to me, that's a little bit like, this selfishness of Carrie when it comes to her friends and friendships kind of, comes through. A little bit shines through. What's important is that she gets the validation and that she feels special. On the other hand, she does feel like a shit, so maybe that was kind of a way of her feeling a little bit better. Then again, if that's the case, exactly the point, right? You cannot just feel better by getting that external validation no matter what is actually happening around you. Maybe I went too far on that one, but it kind of bothered me. Now, Carrie feels better, right? This gives her a little bit of sass. This gives her a little bit of energy, at least as long as the alcohol is holding on. But it does put her in a little bit of a dilemma. How should you go through a breakup? Should you go with the slow, painful way, really getting through it? Or should you just throw yourself out there and see, what else is out there? Which way should you go? When she invited this guy to go out, she invited him for one special reason. She invited him to make Big jealous. If she was to meet Big again to face him, this is the time. It's a fancy party. I look great and I am with the new Yankee. Again, it is all about proving to Big that she is on his level or getting that validation from him. It almost feels like that for Carrie, the sense of understanding yourself and why are you seeking so much validation from another person, why are you so hurt that this person rejected you, is totally... No, that doesn't exist in her world, okay? It's all about he needs to find out that he made a mistake and he should be with me. It's giving a little bit immature, okay? Girl, sit down, chill, take a chocolate. You know better, okay? Take care of yourself. I think it's really good if you go out in order to just feel a little bit better, okay? Just to go around other people, not to be alone in your home, just to see that there's more to life than what you think there is because you are now in this maybe a little bit depressive mode. But what I don't see helping is going out and with the idea of showing him, because it's all about the other person again. It has nothing to do with you. The first part has to do with you, right? You are trying to get your mind off of things for some time. The other version, when you are doing it just to impress the other person, it depends on will that person show up and also will they give you the reaction you are expecting. So if you're not then getting that, you didn't do anything. You are just feeling bad again, right? Because the whole point of even going out was to get this validation, to get this external acknowledgement. And that's exactly what Carrie came to realize, because Big didn't show up and she actually felt like, you know what, let me get to know this Yankee guy, which not selfish at all. I mean, you're such a good person, Carrie, right? Taking advantage of other people to make yourself feel good. I don't accept that. I don't. The Yankee guy and Carrie go out for another date, and they seem to have a lot of fun, right? They're joking, they're feeling good. Carrie seems to be feeling really good. She's smiling, and she basically kind of, it seems like, forgot about this whole deal with Big. At least she's not, looking around if he's there or something. But how universe or God or whatever or luck would have it, Big is right there. Big is at the same place. And when Carrie sees him, she freezes up for a second. Now he approaches her. They say hi, and he puts his hand on her shoulder and says, "You've never looked better." I have a problem with that. I might be a little bit too specific, like too analytical, but that to me all felt a little bit condescending. Condescending? Yeah, it felt a little bit like you're probably going through shit, but you're good, okay? You are good. That's how I saw that interaction. That to me, it was like, okay, this seems like he's cool with it. Like at the end of the day, she's the one who broke up with him because he didn't say that she's the one. And that's okay by him. At least it seems like that. She leaves the place together with the Yankee guy and he kisses her. Now, while he kisses her, Carrie bursts out crying, like in his mouth. And it's because she is actually realizing that she cannot do this. She's not ready. So they kind of say their goodbyes, and Carrie accepts the fact that she's not really ready to be with someone else because she really needs to go through this breakup and this heartbreak on her own without another guy being there. It is Carrie's birthday and she gets a special gift. A gift from her ex, Mr. Big. It is red flowers and she is kind of like, what does this mean? Charlotte, for example, is convinced that this is his way of apologizing because it's very difficult for men to apologize. So he's just sending flowers. That's his way of saying, I'm wrong. Now, Samantha and Miranda are much more skeptical about it, and I am totally on their side. Like, I would start laughing the same way they did. Because no. Or let me say it like that. Let's say that's true. Okay. Let's say that the person actually wants to apologize, actually feels bad about whatever happened. And because they don't know how, they're doing these gestures. Let's say that's true. Grow a pair. Okay? That's what I'm going to say to that. If you are not even emotionally ready and mature enough to actually face the other person and apologize and say something, if that's what you're actually wanting to do, okay, but you cannot, then in any case, it's no. For a relationship to work, for partnership to work, like you need to have at least the freaking guts to apologize if that's what you're feeling, okay? Period. And it also reminded me how, oh my God, like sometimes we are a little bit ridiculous. I mean, come on, Mary. Let's say what it is. We come up with stories about actions of the other person to suit our narrative, right? And it's the narrative of there is something more to this than what he is showing me. And what's even more interesting is that in most of the cases, that more that they're showing me is only the positive thing for us. For example, if a man is lying, okay, it's probably because he had some kind of reason that he had to lie, or he has some kind of problems of being, I don't even know where to go with that, but we both know that when that happens, sometimes you just kind of seek beyond or what is actually happening, right? If a guy doesn't tell you that he loves you or he is committed to you, it's because he has difficulties expressing himself. Guys are not really like that. On the other hand, if a guy is showing extreme affection towards you, right? Extreme, for example, we call it also love bombing at the beginning of the relationship, or making all these promises, we never go, oh, but what is that, why is he so targeting right now and he's so obsessed about this relationship right now? We would then just say, because I'm so perfect. Because I'm that special. Now, I'm not saying that it never happens, right? That someone might feel not really open and they need support in that and all of that. I'm not saying that. But those are exceptions. But somehow we just created a rule. If a guy does something, it probably means something more. Or if a woman does something, it probably means something more. Especially when you are in a bad place, when you don't feel confident about the relationship, about the situationship, about dating, you try to justify whatever you need to, follow this illusion and narrative that allows you to keep going that way, even though you should already step off. I've said it so many times. This thing up here, it knows how to serve it. I also put in my notes what Charlotte said to all of this. Like she said, if they go, she was talking about exes. If they go out of your life, it's not meant to be. But if they do a powerful declaration of love, then you need to reconsider, because maybe you are meant to be. I don't think I need to go deep into this, okay? Okay? People can have their own struggles and keep on coming into your life, not because they're meant to be, but because they cannot get the F out when they are not supposed to be here. With these stories of, oh my God, if it's a struggle, if they keep on coming, blah, 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 if we cannot separate from each other, it must be real. No, it means you have issues, okay? So Carrie decides to call Mr. Big and, just to be polite, boom, her dreams or her illusion is crashed again, because true or not true, Mr. Big is like, oh yeah, my secretary reminded me that it's your birthday, so I just sent flowers. Now, maybe he is the type of guy that he just wants to be cool about it. But on the other hand, it could just be that. Literally, he was just reminded by a secretary, and because he doesn't feel like there was anything wrong in the relationship, especially from his side, he doesn't feel like he needs to apologize or anything. For him, it's just a nice gesture. But because Carrie thought that this is something more, the fact that she finds out that this wasn't something more, it's again another hit to her. Again, another hit to her self-esteem, her confidence, and, not getting that validation from him. I want to also add here that the fact that Big didn't just say, oh, thank you, how is your birthday, how are you celebrating? But he had to let her know that it was his secretary that reminded him is interesting. Again, it can be two ways. Or he really wants to, play into the, I'm not affectionate, I'm not emotionally, blah, blah, blah. Or the other hand is he truly wants her to know that this does not mean anything, okay? And then, of course, it leaves with the most objective version, which is he was just being honest. He just said, oh, yeah, the secretary reminded me. But based on the fact how their dynamic was and everything, I would see this as he just does not care that much about how everything went down. Like, he just doesn't. I think, at least from my perspective, he is just living his life and, okay, it didn't work out. That sucks, but it's okay. I'm moving forward. While Carrie is living it a little bit differently. Now, Carrie, in the spur of a moment with talking with him, invites him to her birthday, okay? She's like, oh, you should come. Like, this is the typical dilemma between, should I just be nice and let's be friends, or should I cut it out? I think this is a moment from Carrie where she wanted to also be like casual. Like, oh, I don't mind, because that's what friends do, right? Or maybe if she understood that, this is not okay, he's not a good guy for me, blah, blah, blah. Like, it would never cross her mind to invite him, right? Mr. Big is going to try to show up, and he is going to bring someone. Now, what does this turn into? It turns into her spending her birthday being worried about when will Big show up, will he show up, and who will he bring? Why do we put ourselves in a position where it's clearly not good for us? We don't need to go through it, and yet we let the pressure of, I don't want to even say of society, but the image to guide us. Why did she feel that it's more important to be cool and invite him to her birthday than setting a boundary for herself? Why are we more worried about how will we look like rather than take care of ourselves? I am, if I'm I don't know. A part of me is like, you should keep some things private. A part of me is like, at the end of the day, looking it back, now this is funny and someone can actually benefit from it. I was in a position where I had to talk with a previous interest of my man at the time for the whole party, okay, which didn't make me feel good in any way because, things were a little bit fishy with the whole situation and I wasn't really feeling comfortable through the whole party, but I kept on staying there and having this totally cool, normal conversation and listening to what she is going through, like, or all these things, because I felt that if I finish the conversation and I actually go and, speak with people that I actually want to talk with and like kind of prioritize my well-being or how I'm feeling, I will look like a douche. I literally went beyond just being polite. Like, we were talking for like 2-3 hours, like insane. But I just kept staying there because if I now go, then this will feel like, okay, I have something against someone or blah, blah, blah. Like, it's so ridiculous. It really is. But if you ever find yourself in a position where you are doing something that you don't want to do, it's not in your interest, but you just don't want to look rude or something like that, you don't need to be rude. You can be very polite. You can be very neutral, and that's it. And still like focus on, okay, what do I actually want? And do that. Don't risk your whole evening and everything just because you don't want to come out rude, because then someone might think that blah, 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 blah. Okay? No. And this is exactly how I feel Carrie is going through this situation. She put herself in a position where she needs to now act like everything is cool rather than taking care of herself. Because if she would say to Big, don't come, that would look bad. And looking bad is worse than taking care of yourself, because we can always put ourselves on the later, right? We can always have that time with ourselves later. We can always then later not do it anymore. But I wonder how many times do we then actually do it? When it comes to these things, we should be a little bit selfish. And at the same time, I think it's also all happening in our head, in our mind. That other person doesn't really think about it. No one is thinking about it. But sometimes we are so caught up in what will others say? How will this look like, that we're actually sabotaging our own well-being. Okay? So that was a little bit of a rant, but okay, maybe someone needed to hear that. Big finally shows up and his date is his friend Jack. It's not another woman. So Carrie throws herself at this friend who she didn't even like. And she's like, oh my God, I mean, this is your date? This is your hallelujah. Kill me now. Do you know how Big greets Carrie? Happy birthday, baby. I would smack him. But Carrie probably thinks it's, oh my God, he called me baby. Am I reaching if I say he has no attachment to this woman? Like, I do not want to be negative and rude, but if he would actually truly care about her, how can you greet someone like that? Now, it could be that, that's just how at that time they were talking or whatever. But to me, it is a condescending thing. You can just see how Big actually sees Carrie. He doesn't really acknowledge that he hurt her. He doesn't acknowledge that they broke up because he wasn't sure about her. Because if he did all of that, if he felt some kind of remorse, real remorse, like, he would not act like that. He would not call her baby. He wouldn't be all like, oh, secretary did. Like, I just don't get it. And what cherry on top, if you think that I'm exaggerating, the whole time he's at this birthday party, he is basically getting lap dance from, the ladies, the dancers there. And he's putting money in their bras and he's having the time of his life. While his ex, which at this point, it was probably not even that long that they broke up, is sitting there and it's her birthday. I do not care if Carrie invited him. I do not care if, she has her own things she needs to think about, and why did she feel like that's more important than actually taking care of herself. What kind of person are you to go with it? Not only go with it, but be totally disrespectful about it. I think that says a lot about Big. And I genuinely, honestly, still do not understand how do people see Carrie as the only problem. Carrie has problems in constantly, like we talked in the season 1. Like, she has a problem with seeking validation, and she's all about that, getting that hit. She has a problem of not feeling good enough. And she most definitely has a problem of being into love and being into relationship, but not really looking at who is the person who is with her. So it feels like she's in love with the idea, but she doesn't really care about the real person, because all of the conversations end in just give me that hit of validation, kiss me, blah, 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 and I'm good, right? But Big is the typical man that is like, I'm successful, I'm good, I'm charming, I hit with this one-liners, I'm not committing, I'm not gonna acknowledge that you are equal to me, like I'm better in one way or another. And yeah, that's just how I roll. And he does not care. He does not care about the other person. While Carrie's problem is that all she cares is about the illusion of this other person, Big only cares not even about that. He only cares about himself. How can you say that he was okay? Like, Carrie is the crazy one. I don't know. I'm so confused. Or we're not watching the same show. Like, I don't get it. So the birthday ended, or the birthday party ended, and we see Carrie and Big walking down the street, and they are basically, saying goodbye. So he asks her if she needs a ride home, to which she says no, she's going to call a cab. And he asks her if she needs money for the cab. And she says no, it's okay. And basically he says, thank God, because I think I put my last $20 in that belly dancer's crotch. Did he say crotch? I think he did. And Carrie's like, what? In this interaction, basically when Big leaves, Carrie admits that she is still not over him. She didn't go through the full heartbreak phases. And she is a little bit stuck in this, I'm still not over him. Now, I have a little bit of a fun theory. Why is that? It's because the thing she is not over about is him not giving her the validation of being good enough. This guy that she put on a pedestal is not accepting her. And that's what she is actually not over. In my personal opinion, this is a clear example of someone who cannot be over a relationship because they're not really looking at the relationship. They're not really looking at the person. What they are looking at is the good times, the illusion, and the fact that they weren't good enough for this other person. You're not over not being chosen by them. And it does not matter how they treated you. That's the whole point. That's the whole aim. Because if you looked closer, if you actually understood, then you wouldn't have that much problem of getting over someone. Again, my 2 cents. We see Carrie going on a blind date. Now, this is a moment when Carrie finds out that there are freaks out there, okay? There are strange men. No one is good, okay? They all have some kind of problem, and it's a man after man after man. All the guys she goes on that date, there is something wrong with them, and it's starting to freak her out. She's like, damn, I struggle to go back there, but now I'm being afraid being back here, okay? These people are, as she calls them, freaks, but a blessing from the sky, or just a man walking up to her when she is sitting at a fountain, one or the other. She meets this guy, and it kind of seems that they share their experiences about how everyone is kind of weird in the dating scene. But then they kind of decide, should we go out and date? And this is a good, it seems like, date, right? Or it's going well. They've been on a couple of dates, and Carrie is a little bit paranoid if there is something wrong with him, because it seems like there's always something wrong with someone. And there's also it seems in her environment, that's how people see it. Like Miranda has bad experiences. There are freaks. Charlotte has her freak. Samantha has whatever. So basically this is her bubble, right? There's always something wrong with the guys. If they're 30 plus, or if they're about above 30 and still single, something is wrong, which toxic much? And her breaking point happens when they are intimate, and she's basically staying at his apartment while he's going out to get something, I guess. I don't know. And she gets totally paranoid, ransacking his apartment. And I think this is another difficult word that I do not know if I said it right. She goes through his stuff, and she is just obsessed with finding something that is wrong with him, finding some kind of strange things in his closet, or some kind of things about exes, or something that will show her that this guy is not perfect and she shouldn't continue with him, right? That's what she's actually looking for. But I'm getting myself ahead. Now, here's the thing. I'm sure that we evolved. Okay, I'm sure that this is not what happens anymore. Because today we go on social media. Today we go on all the social interactions, Instagram, Facebook. We might even create a Snapchat because maybe they're on there. You go all crazy on the internet trying to find out if there is something that you are not seeing, which is an indication that what you are not seeing is that you are worth something good. If you yourself cannot believe or accept the fact that you are good enough, that you do deserve good people, and that you can recognize if people are not good, then you fall into the paranoia like Carrie did, or many women did, and even men do today when they're dating. Now he returns and he finds her in this state, being all paranoid and going through his stuff. And his last line was like, I actually thought you were one of the normal ones. And that's the moment when Carrie kind of realizes that she is freak on her own, because her paranoia is making her as wrong, or there's something wrong with her, as any other person or the people she dated. I have some thoughts on this. I feel like I need to... Okay, it's good. I have a call. I need to take a break, and I'm going to let you know my thoughts. But you won't see this because it's edited. Magic. I've been filming for almost 2 hours now. Wow. Yeah. I have so much to say. We are all a little bit of freaks, okay? Now, some people need to go to prison for it, and some people just have problems and some fears that they need to work on. Okay, we need to differentiate that. It is okay to feel paranoid. It is okay to feel scared. It is okay to feel doubtful. It's okay to need to figure some shit out. That is a part of our life. That is nothing to be ashamed of, nothing for you to feel like there's something wrong with me, nothing that you need to kind of push aside and not deal with it and ignore it. But it is something that when it happens, because it happens to everyone, you should acknowledge. You should accept it. Like sometimes you just need to say, look, Biz, I'm feeling a little bit down right now. I'm feeling a little bit like I'm paranoid. I'm like, I don't feel good right now, and I don't know how to handle it. So I'm I'm just going to accept it for right now. And, step by step, I'm going to try to understand what is actually happening and how I can help myself. I do not like when people are taking jealousy, paranoia, fears as something that is wrong with you and you shouldn't. You're a freak, right? Like in this case, because it doesn't help. Because when we put a stigma on it, then we support hiding it. We support not addressing it. Now, let me be clear. This doesn't mean that, for example, if you are someone who is jealous, not who is jealous, but who struggles with jealousy, that doesn't mean go full in being jealous and, the other person just needs to accept it. Chill, okay? No. What it does mean is don't be ashamed of it. At the end, when it comes to jealousy, paranoias, and fears, it all comes down to you not seeing yourself as good enough or trusting yourself well enough. And when you are with someone else, it is important what kind of person is by your side and how they help you or not help you go through it. In this particular case, this guy saying to her, I thought you were normal and you should go, that is not a guy that is good for you. It's not, because he himself is a little bit limited in understanding that people do have fears. People do have things that they are struggling with, and sometimes they need someone to help them overcome that. What would be healthy, for example, if this was really like the right guy for her, but again, it's like a movie, a series plot and so on. On the other hand, I can imagine that this also happens in real life. If this was a really healthy dynamic, then this person would sit down, but then he would say, look, I understand that you're scared, or would you like to share a little bit more with me? What exactly are you afraid of? How can I support you in showing you that this is not what is happening here? That for me would be indication of someone who is good for you. Now, does that mean that automatically he's the one and now everything will be perfect? No, because there are so many layers and so many things you go through. But most definitely, it is an indication of someone who understands people, understands dynamics, acknowledges that everyone has some kind of like shit that they need to go through. And second of all, is someone who will try to support you the best way they can. Okay? Because we need that in that moment. As long as it doesn't like make you miserable, as long as it doesn't constantly pull you down, right? Because you also have examples where, people could constantly pull you down and it's never good. That's another thing. I also believe that that's the perception that we have, because those are these exceptions that are the most visible. But I think in majority, like the normal relationships and people, it's not that. It's just that someone needs a little bit more support, a little bit more understanding, because they themselves are learning this thing of loving themselves while being with someone else, right? Or accepting another person in a relationship. It's not always a narcissism, a bad person, or blah, 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 okay? But again, if this is constantly making you feel bad and worse and worse and worse, then no, step up. When it comes to Carrie, I think there are a couple of things happening. Like one thing is like, I'm trying to understand, is she self-sabotaging, right? This relationship because she actually wants to be with Mr. Big. So it serves her if she sees that there's something wrong with other people, okay? Or the second, which is more likely, is the fact that she just doesn't want to be hurt again. So instead of putting herself again in the situation where she can fall in love and get hurt, she rather just, lets her fears and paranoia take over. My suggestion would be, just let the person know. And then they also have the opportunity to decide on their own if they want to continue or not. Don't hide it and don't force the other person to accept it. We see Carrie being late to a photo shoot. So one of her friends actually organized for her to be at this magazine, and the article would be like single and fabulous. So she would be owning her single life and still being fabulous, being like in her 30s. So, there's no judgment about being single. Now, the photo shoot goes down, okay? It was not what Carrie was thinking. Carrie is basically put on a cover where she looks a little bit like shit, okay? I mean, like shit. To be honest, she doesn't look that like shit. She just looks like tired smoking. The title is Single and Fabulous ? So it's all about how women who are single and are in their 30s or plus are not really happy. Now, this pisses Carrie off because, first of all, she didn't expect that's the magazine about, because she's all about the empowerment of single and fabulous. On the other hand, it does seem that it does poke a little bit in her, not only her, also her friends. Are we really single and fabulous, or are we just faking it? Do we actually want to be with someone? Are we deep down afraid that we are not going to be with anyone? And I think that's kind of, it's a normal thing to wonder. But this is basically where we see that Carrie is trying to understand if she's actually happy being single, or she does want a relationship. Does she really want a commitment? She even wonders if all these years when she was single, like in general, she was just faking being happy, which is kind of a sad thought. Like, seriously, is our... Like I said it many times, right? We are wired to have relationships, but that doesn't mean, and connections, but that doesn't mean just romantic relationships and connections. If I haven't been clear, it doesn't. Then you can decide, do you want to have a romantic relationship or not? But at the same time, this kind of, it's sad to even play with the thought that you being your own person and living your own life in your individuality is somehow less than being with someone. Of course, this is like 20 years ago, the show that came out, but I wouldn't go past the fact that maybe those are internalized beliefs that we all have. If you are not in a relationship, if you don't have a status, that then there's something wrong and there's something missing. So Carrie wants to prove herself that she is single and fabulous. So she gets all dressed up, she goes out, and you know how Carrie proves to herself that she is single and fabulous? You've got it. She needs to get a validation from some cute guys. Because that, you would like to be like, what the F, girl? But on the other hand, man, that's so typical, right? You want to be like, oh, I'm so happy being single. But then also you're proving yourself that you're so happy being single because you can get whoever you want. Interesting. She is having so much fun. She drank a little bit more. She is enjoying with this guy. She's being happy. And basically they decide to go home together or wherever. And they stop at a kiosk, right? Where her magazine is sold. Now, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So Carrie is waiting in the car and she's like, man, this totally feels good. You see, I'm single, I'm fabulous, I'm having fun, and this is all working great. And then the guy comes back and he shows her this magazine where she looks, in her view, like shit. And the question is single and fabulous ? And that totally crashes her illusion. To me, it almost seemed like the illusion was crushed of how he sees her. And why am I saying that? I would like to think if you are in some way confident in yourself, or like you are okay with what you're doing, even when you're not okay in what you're doing, if you're not seeking validation from outside, or in this case from another guy, I would imagine that your reaction would be like, oh my God, I look like crap there. They totally set me up, blah, blah, blah. You know, it would be like a moment of, I don't know, honesty and still standing and still believing in however you're living your life. But for Carrie, this is a break of illusion. Now she is like over and she wants to just leave this guy. And I got a little bit confused, but maybe you can help me understand it. She even says that if she goes with him now, that would mean that she's only doing that to validate her life. Is she trying to say that she needs to acknowledge the fact that she doesn't feel the best not being in a relationship, that that's actually what she wants? And by saying that if she goes with him, it will be to validate her life, it would be to pretend like that's not where she is, where she actually doesn't feel that good right now and she would like to be with someone. I don't know. Please help me understand. What do you think? Like, what was this all about? It's confusing. I even wrote it, confusing. I don't see it. Confusing. And the episode ends with her being at a cafe without any armor, as she calls it, just being with herself there with a glass of wine, and that's it, right? No friends, no man, no one to hide behind, I guess. And yeah, that's kind of a good moment. I honestly, those are sometimes one of my best moments where I just decide to go on my own to a nice cafe or to a lunch and just be with myself. You should do it sometimes. Carrie is going to a funeral. One of her designer friends passed away, and basically her and her friends are getting ready to go to this funeral. Now, this triggers a question: how much time do we have left? And Carrie takes this opportunity of, not knowing what will actually happen tomorrow, blah, 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 to, you guessed it, call big. Not just call big, but call big on a date. I know. We also learned that at this point, it has been 6 months after the breakup. It's almost like, oh my God, I got over him, so that's why I'm going to call him out for a date. Did you really got over him? Or are you just taking an excuse of, we don't know what will happen, to go back to him and to try to get that validation from him again? She's getting ready for this date and thoughts go through her, right? And she's like, am I ready to jump back into a life with big in it? First of all, based on what? Based on what does this mean that you're already jumping into a life with big in it? You're going for a date, woman. Chill, sit down, okay? Relax. Was seeing him again a huge mistake? Well, I've put some questions that you can, or Carrie could ask herself to understand if this was a huge mistake. Did you understand what was the problem in the first place? Do you have expectations? What kind of expectations? Are you okay not being the one? Now, Carrie does not really answer these questions. She does not really try to understand if this is a mistake or not, because if it was a mistake, why was I so excited? Jury and the judge, the case is closed. Let's go watching The Circle. I'm actually watching it and I'm planning to do a video about it, because how people are using psychology or trying to use psychology to influence one another is interesting. But before going there, just because you are excited about it does not mean it is not potentially a mistake. I get it, but I also don't get it. And maybe I would have gotten it in the past, or if I'm thinking about my past self, the self that didn't really understand relationship or dynamics and so on, or myself for that matter. When people say it's something there, and if there's something there, some kind of connection, some kind of feeling, then it must be right. You are placing everything that isn't right versus one thing that is right. There can be a million things that are wrong, but as long as there is this one thing that is right, We will hold on to that thing till the end. Does not matter. There can be a million other things and you're just like, whoop, I don't, whoop. And this is how Carrie is, right? If I feel excited about this date, how can it be wrong? I'm sorry. Am I being harsh? So Carrie and Big go on a date, right? And they are being all happy and flirtatious. At one point, Carrie asks Big what is his idea of heaven, to which Big responds, a big bed, and they just say, come on in. Now, I don't know about you, but the they part, something tells me it's not about, including all genders. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he was quite advanced in thinking. Now, Carrie is a little bit confused by that answer, but don't you worry, because Big is coming with his one-liner, with the statement of all statements. Well, depends who's in it. I'm not going to sleep with you tonight. Yes, people, that is what Carrie responded. Because apparently it was about her, right? Apparently he was asking her to be in his bed, or her being in bed is his version of heaven. Now, obviously, this is flirting, right? The point is of being metaphorically, but you're actually talking about each other. But here's where it gets a little bit like, they've been dating for a year, half a year ago. It is not normal that you are just being flirtatious right now with each other as though you don't have issues. No. You do not get back with your ex like that without any conversation, without any acknowledgement, without any agreement. What is this moving forward? I think both of them are playing a game where Carrie is not acknowledging that, she had certain expectations that weren't fulfilled, but she rather not say it because then it's a possibility of them not being together. While Big is leveraging that Carrie won't say anything. Here's the thing about guys like Big. They might not give you the reason for you to think more than what they are showing you, okay? But they also don't do the opposite. They like to keep it in the middle. And that allows him to go one way or another. Because if Carrie thinks that this is serious without him saying it, it means that he can enjoy the relationship with Carrie. And, why would I ruin this? But when it doesn't suit him, then he can always say, I didn't commit to this. I never said that I'm exclusive with you. I'm never, it's something that we talked in the season 1. So I'm not going to go again through it. But here to me, it's like the same dynamic. His vagueness is as bad as Carrie's illusions. Both are allowing both of them to keep in the bubble that only kind of feeds their own needs. No one is really honest with one another, and no one is really creating an opportunity to actually understand if they should continue, because it's better to just play pretend. Now we cut to Carrie and Big making out, I think at his apartment or somewhere, or maybe at a lobby. And Carrie now starts freaking out that, she suddenly feels like this is a very big mistake, which is very, very interesting. It's almost like the second she got validation from Big that he is into her, at least sexually, now the reality kicks in. Now it's like, oh my God, is this a mistake? That's one way, though. Another thing is, maybe Carrie just likes the drama, okay? Maybe Carrie just likes this chase and, come after me type of thing. So she's almost like purposely, oh my God, is this a mistake? Because she likes this push and pull dynamics, I guess. And the third thing is that she is genuinely scared that he has the power to hurt her again the same way. She acknowledges that they didn't really have a talk. They are just kind of going on a date, having fun, and now what? Just pretending that everything is okay? Now, here's the thing. Big is no different. He is doing the same mistakes from his side or from his point of view. He's also going back and being intimate or trying to be intimate and going on a date with his ex who broke up with him because he wasn't serious about her. So the fact that he's also just going with it tells me that he himself is not really ready or doesn't want to acknowledge that things need to be different or that they should have a talk if they want to continue. He also just ignores the fact that what went down and now is just into her. Here's my theory. If I see Big as entitled, a little bit narcissistic, then I would say that he's doing this because at the end of the day, he does not acknowledge his role in this relationship, or better, in the breakup. For him, he didn't do anything wrong. She's the one who needed to hear that she's the one, or who needed the commitment from him, while he was just, the good guy. So now when she called him to go on a date, the fact that he was okay with it, the fact that he himself didn't initiate any conversations kind of makes sense. Because from his point of view, it's nothing crazy. He was just dating his girl. It didn't really work out, but now she's reaching out to him again, and why not? Now, on the other hand, if I say that Big has his own fears, then he is basically in the same boat as Carrie, right? He's going into the relationship without really acknowledging what was the expectation of his ex-girlfriend in that relationship, and can I give her that? Can she give me what I want from this relationship? I will say that I have a little bit of problem believing this, because through all of the episodes, to me at least, it seems like I said before, Carrie is the one that is creating the illusion of the relationship, while Big is someone who is realistic but just does not seem to want to commit, and he just likes to lead her on, right? Not saying anything is also leading someone on. Let's not pretend that it isn't, okay? And then the third, possibility is that in some strange galaxy, some strange way, we actually are experiencing a totally new relationship between two people who just met. And season 1 is not at all connected to season 2. These are two different stories, and we're just morons connecting the two of them, okay? Because I have no idea how someone can return to someone and not really acknowledge what was happening and why they broke up and how are they resolving that. Another thing that I want to add here is, like I said, I've seen comments on Reddit and different places in general, like the belief of Mr. Big being always open about it, right? He always was open with Carrie. Now, first of all, okay, I'm in the season 2, and so far I haven't seen that at all. No, I haven't seen him being straightly open with Carrie. What does he expect and what he is willing to give? But also, that does not make it okay. Just because someone is honest about it does not mean that it is automatically also good and the right thing. No, it just means you're honest about it. You're honest about the fact that you are not capable of commitment, or you do not want a commitment. But the fact that you still then continue engaging with someone who clearly wants more, what's the purpose of that honesty? Why would you want to engage with someone who clearly wants that? Unless you are vaguely honest about that because you yourself like that someone is so all over you. But at the same time, you never need to really commit. And Carrie is showing to him right now, coming back in his life in this way, that that's exactly how it goes with her. Just wait a little bit and she'll be coming back. Just to say that this whole thing about Big being honest, and maybe I missed it, does not mean that it is okay because he's still engaging with someone who clearly wants something more, right? But if someone even is honest about it, that doesn't mean automatically it is okay. You still need to listen to what they're saying. You still need to acknowledge what is it their truth. What is it that they are saying? And then see if it matches yours or it doesn't. Now, after this, action of Carrie running away from him because this suddenly feels like a mistake, she goes the next step of come and chase me. She doesn't answer his phone calls, and apparently it's already 4 missed phone calls. So there is a knock at the door, and Mr. Big is there. The whole situation here is freaking ridiculous. He's like, knock, knock, and she opens the door, and he's like, okay, you're alive. And then turns and goes away. You know what? I'm not that mad about this reaction, to be honest, because he's been trying to call you, you're not answering, and genuinely, he might just want to check, oh my God, is she alive? Is everything okay? Sometimes you do go in that, direction. But at the same time, he's also a little bit pissed because why aren't you answering my phone calls? Like, what did I do? Okay? Now, Carrie is like, no, where are you going? I'm not a violent person, okay? Maybe in the darkness of my thoughts. We don't need to go that deep. But I wanted to smack her. Like, woman, oh my God, this is insane. She gets all this, don't go. Are you serious? This is all it is to you? You're just happy that he showed up. Suddenly, this feeling wrong and this being a mistake, just trying to have something casual without even, going really understanding, or not casual at this point, not yet, but it's coming, don't worry. All of that disappears the second he comes at your door. You got that chase, huh? Validation is a bitch. When you're asking just for validation, this is how it happens. So she's like, I'm sorry. And he tells her that, he had tickets for game and then that she missed it or something. I don't know what. And she's like, oh my God, who did you take? Like being all flirtatious and quirky. And he's like, somebody who returns my calls. And then they kiss. The stupidity. But don't worry. They're not going to have sex. They are gonna go on a date and they are gonna have like a talk, right? They're gonna have a nice, fun time together and nothing sexual. So they go bowling. Now, this bowling was also an experience in itself, kinda. So they're basically playing, oh my God, I just said it. They're bowling and it's Carrie's turn. So Carrie half strikes and she's like, oh my God, did you see it? And he's like, wow, or something, right? And looking at the monitor, which, okay. Then it's his time, it's his turn, and he strikes, all the, how do you call it? I know how you call it in my language. No, I don't. And he's like, did you see my strike? And she's like, yes, that was so good. You immediately see the difference between support that they give each other. Because when Carrie asks, like being, fun, like, oh my God, did you see that? He's like, wow, that was so good. But when he does the same thing, she's like, yes, that was good. Like you can see a genuine support. And you can see this difference in how they are treating each other. How do they see each other as an individual, but also kind of their, let's say, interest. Now, if someone would say, oh my God, men are different, you're totally reading into this. No, that's the problem we have in society. Thinking that men and women are so different. This is common decency. We're not talking about how do you pee, okay? We are talking about normal interaction between two people. That comes down to personalities, how you are as a person. It doesn't come down to men and women. Jesus. Okay, I need to calm down. So I think he won like the first round, and then they go into this flirtatious exchange again, metaphorical, but also like danger. And she's like, let's do 2 out of 3, right? Like another round. And he's like, are you ready to get killed all over again? And Carrie acknowledges that she doesn't know if they're still talking about bowling or are they talking about something else. And she says, yes, let's do it. And they didn't do the second round. They went home and had sex. Isn't that romantic? Isn't that romantic that the person tells you if you're ready to get killed all over again, acknowledging that, you got hurt from this and you might get hurt again. And she's like, yes, let's do it again. Over it. Okay, I'm over it. The episode finishes with Carrie seeing Big and herself reincarnated again. And she never felt more alive. But how alive is Carrie's alive? We will see in the next part. People, this is 5 episodes and I had a lot to say. So I'm literally going to split the season 2 in 3 sections because I can't talk this much, okay? And I also want to, not make too long of videos. But let me know, what did you think about this whole heartbreak thing, the breakup, and then coming back together? And, which side are you on now after these first 5 episodes of season 2? Did you switch teams? I haven't. I'm on neither of the teams, but I do resonate with Carrie a little bit more. The stupidity of it. No. We're not harsh of ourselves. We acknowledge and we learn. Oh, I want to say that despite this now being a little bit of a topic on Carrie and Big and evaluating these seasons, this is not going to be the only type of videos that I'm going to be doing. But right now, this is kind of hot, okay? People enjoy it. I'm also watching it, so why not? For those of you who are not into these analysis, because I know there are some of you, don't worry. I'll do all the videos that I've been doing also in the future, mix and play a little bit. Now, maybe it wasn't necessary to share that, but I kind of feel it was because, let's make sure that the people who've been watching me so far are still satisfied with my content while newcomers are newcoming. No, while newcomers are coming. And remember, trust your individuality.